have overwhelming strength and devastating force. And we had people that didn't like to talk about that, you know. They didn't want to talk about the level of quality that we have. They didn't want to talk about anything. We're going to have a big parade this year, you know, in Washington, D.C., a real parade. And I'll tell you just a little story. A week ago, May 8th, I'd call up a certain country, and they said, oh, we're celebrating the victory of World War II today, sir. Oh, really? I'd speak to one of the presidents or prime ministers or whatever, and they were so busy. Oh, yes, we're celebrating the victory of World War II. Then I'd speak to another one, and they were celebrating. And the fact is, Russia was celebrating. France was celebrating. Everybody was celebrating but us. And we're the ones that won the war. We won the war. And they helped. But without us, they don't win the war. We're all speaking German. You know that, right? Without us, they're speaking German, maybe a little Japanese too. We won the war. And we're the only ones that didn't celebrate. So what I did is I got my crack staff over there, and we did it every time. We have May 8th, and we also have the date in November, that sacred date in November for World War I, because we won that war too. But think of it, I'm calling. Now, we love France, right? But I think we did a little more to win the war than France did. Do we agree? You know, I don't want to be a wise guy. But when Hitler made his speech at the Eiffel Tower, I would say that wasn't exactly ideal. And I called up the president, Macron, good guy, by the way. Donald, we are celebrating our victory over the Germans. Oh, that's wonderful. No, we don't take credit for what we do. And I said, what the hell? Every country I've spoken to in the last week is celebrating the war but us. Isn't that terrible? So we're going to be doing holidays, but I said it has to be a working holiday because you can only do so many of them. We have a lot of holidays. I'm not so sure we should have them, and you don't have to go to work. Our country has to go to work. So we're going to have a working holiday for each one of those 2 dates, and we're going to be celebrating too because we should celebrate more than anybody else. And others did help a lot, but nobody helped like us. We wouldn't have won. I mean, the fact is, not winnable without us. And now we're stronger than ever before. You know, I rebuilt the military in my first term. We had a great first term every way. We had the greatest economy ever. Stock market up 88%, the biggest rise ever. All of that stuff. But the second term is going to be even better. We have over $10 trillion going to be invested in our country. And this little tour didn't hurt, I will tell you, between the 3 great places. I recently announced that I'll approve an unprecedented $1 trillion, as I told you. It's going to end up going higher investment in the U.S. Armed Forces, and that's a record as part of that effort. I signed an order to build the Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our country from missile attack. Is everybody okay with that? It was called the Iron Dome, but I changed it to the Golden Dome. I thought it was a little more beautiful, maybe a little more modern or something. But we're going to have it, and it's amazing, actually, what they do. It's going to cost many billions of dollars, all made in the USA. I want it all made in the USA. The days of making our parts all over the world because we have wonderful partners. No, it's America first now, America first. We're going to make it all in the USA. And we're going to, by the way, it's America first, but we're going to take care of other countries. We're going to have plenty left over because we're doing things now. You know, 6 months ago, our country was laughed at. Now our country is respected again at a level that it hasn't seen in a long, long time. And we're going to keep it that way. And our Air Force will soon have the world's first and only 6th-generation fighter jet, the F-47. Why did they name it 47? Does anybody know? I don't know. That was a nice thing. But it's quite the plane. They say there's never been anything done. But we're also looking at an increased version of the F-35. I think we're going to call it the F-55, which will be a double-engine plane. I like 2 engines on a plane. I'm sorry if I say that. But Does that make sense to anybody? Does anybody agree? General, do you agree with that? I like it. Thank you. So many of you, sir, this engine is infallible. No engine's infallible. I like 2 engines on a plane. Should have been made with 2 engines. If I were here, you would have had 2 engines, and you would have had a lot of other victories, by the way. But we're going to do, when you think of it, Russia, Ukraine would have never started. October 7th, Israel would have never happened because Iran, as you know, was broke. They were unable to fund Hamas or anything else. It wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have had the disaster of Afghanistan, the leaving. We were getting out, but we're getting out with dignity and strength. We're going to keep Bagram Air Base. We weren't going to give that up because it's 1 hour away from China. 1 hour. You know who occupies it now? China. The damage that administration did to this country is legendary, allowing 21 million people through an open border where anybody could walk into the United States of America is something that will never be forgiven. Grossly incompetent and evil, bad people too, bad people. But the real strength of our military doesn't come from its fighter jets. It really comes from our people. That's you. It comes from our people. You're unbelievable people. The aptitude and all of the things you have to do what you do. You know, I look at some of those engines, and I'm a pretty smart cookie. I would tell you I'm real smart. And I look at you, and you take those engines apart and put them back together, blindfolded, and fix them up. It's amazing what you're able to do. And then to fly them, just incredible. You're incredible. You're a very special group of people. And that's why in my 2026 budget includes across the board. Maybe you don't want it. Look, for the good of the country, you don't have to take it. Pay raises for each and every one of you, substantial pay raises. But you don't have to take it. You don't have to take it. You can go to your commanding officer and say, sir, I'd rather not take that pay. I love my country, sir. I refuse to take it. Anybody here, raise your hand, please, if you refuse to take it. Let's see here. All right. Well, at least we have smart people. That's good. So you do your duty for us, and as Commander-in-Chief, I will always do and fulfill my duty to you. That's what I'm doing. Under the Trump administration, we're liberating everything in our armed forces from really radical social experiments carried out under the previous administration and beyond that, and actually beyond that, and restoring the strong and fierce spirit of the American warrior and the American fighter. On day one, I signed an executive order stopping our service members from being forced to endure endless training sessions on political correctness. We don't care if you're politically correct. And I directed the reinstatement of all patriots expelled from our military by the COVID vaccine mandate, which should have never happened. They're being returned at their former rank with full back pay. Very important. After years of not making our enrollment targets, to me, this is the biggest thing. Our military suddenly has the best recruiting numbers that perhaps they've ever had, but certainly in 30 years. Think of that. You go back 6 months ago, we couldn't get people to join the military. Nobody wanted your job. Now everybody wants your job. So we went from having the worst numbers we've ever had in terms of recruitment. That included police officers also, firefighters, but police officers. But in the military, think of that. You couldn't get people to join the military, and now we're brimming over. We have the highest numbers we probably, minimum 30 years, but probably have ever had, because there's such an incredible spirit now in our country. We have a whole new spirit.